All right, it's DA Wrestling here. We got some stuff to talk about here. NXT stuff we're going to talk about. And some other things. It's DA Wrestling. I'm Andrew. Here's some news. All right, on today's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about NXT, what happened last night. We now know what the main event for Stand Deliver is for the women's title. Fatal 4-Way announced for next week on NXT. We got some new Hall of Famers coming to the WWE Hall of Fame this year. We also have a qualifier for the Stand Deliver North American Women's Title ladder match. Two new qualifiers. And I'm going to give my thoughts a little bit on the Charlotte Flair and Stratton stuff because I haven't really done that yet. Anyway, if you want to like the content here, guys, just share, like, share, subscribe down below. Small click for you, big click for us. We thank you for all the support, for all those who have subscribed to us. We thank you very much at all. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's get on to this stuff. So, last night on NXT, we saw the return of Giulia. That's right. So the show opened up with Jordynne Grace versus Jada Parker and a match to determine kind of who might be the number one contender for Stephanie Vaquer's title. Now, Stephanie Vaquer's at ringside. She was watching the match. Eventually, the match did get thrown out due to an accidental punch from Jada or Jordan to Vaquer, and a brawl ensued. During the brawl, Giulia showed up, comes back, clears the ring with Vaquer in the ring with her, cleared the ring, both of them. Stephanie looked so happy to see her friend back, till her friend gave her a headbutt, and then gave her, well, a driver. So, later on in the night, they asked Giulia, why did you do it? Giulia's like, oh, she's your friend. She's friend, yes, but title more important. There you go. So it looks like we're getting the Giulia heel turn here. I think I might call this one a while back. But nevertheless. We get a title back there. Now, they asked Stephanie Vaquer, because it was her choice to see who's going to defend the title against. Because that's what she wanted last week. In response to it, later on in the evening, Stephanie Vaquer goes, I want all of them. All four. So, at NXT Stand and Deliver, the day of WrestleMania, God, that's going to be a long day. Anyway, lots of wrestling. A lot of snacks. A lot of probably alcohol. Maybe not. Probably not. Anyway, a lot of that going on there. You're going to have, in my opinion, which should be the main event, the last match to end the show, you're going to have defending champion Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordynne Grace, Jada Parker, and Giulia. It's a hell of a main event. Right now, my favorite to win would be Vaquer. But I can see, well, I should say that. I can see Vaquer winning the match, mainly because of the fact, yes, she just won the title and all stuff. And yes, again, people can say to me and comment down below saying, well, Andrew, Giulia just won the title, not that long ago, and then she lost to Vaquer. Yeah, well, Giulia got hurt. That's why she was off. Okay, it's simple. It's simple. Right? So, she hasn't earned Roman Reigns status yet, folks. Let's be honest. So, I see Giulia probably coming out of this with a more fear angle to face Vaquer later on. Again, in a singles match. But you also kind of see Parker here taking the pin. I don't see Grace taking the pin at all. I see Parker being the one that takes the pin in this one. Sorry for all the people who like Jada Parker. I think she's a great wrestler. She's kind of really starting to grow on me. Right? But I think it's going to be Stephanie Vaquer against Giulia later on down the line. Right? So I think Giulia's going to end up being in there. She's not going to be in the pin. She's not going to eat the pin. Vaquer's going to win. Makes the most sense. Personally, I think that makes the most sense. I mean, let's be honest here. Right? Parker probably isn't ready for the NXT title yet. Right? Jordynne Grace, as I said before in past shows, she's there probably for a temporary base until she makes the main roster, which will probably be very soon. But then again, when you look at the reaction that Stephanie Vaquer has got on the main roster, just the Royal Rumble alone, she might be primed for the main roster now. I doubt it, but she could be primed for the main roster right now, right? Which means you could very well have Joy Grace and Stephanie Vaquer both go to the main roster after WrestleMania. Kind of doubt that though. I mean, I've been saying for a while that Roxanne Perez is supposed to be in the main roster, but she still seems to be in NXT. I guess that match with Bayley's probably not going to happen. Well, don't I got pie on my face for that? Happens. Moving on though, right? Last night, Ricky Saints was cutting a promo there. He says, this typical stuff. Happy to be an NXT champion and North American champion, yada, yada, yada. He took it off of Sean Spears, yippee, yippee, yippa. Which was then interrupted by Lexis King, who wants claim to the title. Which then brought out Eddie Thorpe, who decided to claim that the North American title is more rightfully his because he's Native American. Yeah, he pulled that card. That's crap to me, but whatever. Right? Nothing against the people who are Native American, but I'm just saying though, it's wrestling. You have no claim to it all. Argue with me. Right? Then Wes Lee comes out saying he hasn't, probably the North American title hasn't seen any progress since he lost it, and he's got kind of got a point. Not really, maybe. He's thrown his hat there too. And as they're all arguing amongst each other, Ricky not really caring who he faces, Ricky gets attacked by Ethan Page. Ethan Page ends up taking him out, and all of a sudden you see Ethan Page, Alexis King, Eddie Thorpe, as well as Wesley all hold that title, pick up at the exact same time. Which leads to next week. Next week, we are having a fatal four-way match to determine who the number one contender is for the North American men's title against Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver. Between those four men of Eddie Thorpe, Wesley, Lexis King, and Ethan Page. Now, if I'm a betting man, which I kind of am, depending on the situation, my guess here is going to be Ethan Page that wins. And you're going to get Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver for the title. It makes the most sense, right? Even though Thorpe's coming off some, good matches against Trick Williams. Wesley, yes, he has been in the title picture for a while, but, he's kind of like in limbo. Lexis King, he's just coming off the Heritage Cup pick, so he probably doesn't need to do any of that right now. Although I can see him eventually being a North American champion for sure. I think what they're doing with Brian Pillman Jr. right now as Lexis King, I say he's doing a lot better than what they did with him in AEW. Seriously. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. Right? So, my guess is right now, next week on NXT, you're going to see Ethan Page win, and you do Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints. I don't think there's going to be like a fatal four-way or five-way match at all. Or a match, I don't see it being a ladder match in any way, shape, or form. We already have that because we're going to talk about that in a couple seconds. Right? So, my opinion on this whole thing is going to be Ethan Page plus Ricky Saints. Plus, you have a fair amount of story to go on there anyway. Obviously, they're both worked in AEW before. They've known each other for quite a long time. There's lots of things you could do with this. Hell, I don't think they're going to hot potato it. At least I hope they don't do that. Makes no sense to me if they do that. But it's a good possibility that Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints is probably going to be this is probably the first of maybe 2-3 matches against those two. I mean, think about it. Ethan Page did three matches against Javon Evans. So why not? Moving on. I just mentioned the ladder match. So, obviously, since Stephanie Vaquer dropped the North American Women's title, they are now having a ladder match, similar to how they crowned the first Women's North American champion at Stand and Deliver. Very similar. Now, last night, we already have qualified was Kalani Jordan, who was the first woman to hold it, who won the exact same type of match. Zarya And we got two more qualifiers this week. Sol Roca, who beat Jasmine Nix, who's part of Deadly Attraction, or I can never remember what the hell they're called. She's cute though. Right? So is Sol Roca. Like I didn't realize how cute that girl actually is. Like she is fantastically gorgeous. Hippie stuff doesn't bother me a little bit, but that's besides the point. Right? And we ended up having Izzy Dame, right, of the Culling. God, that's a silly name. God. The Culling, right, beat Wes Rickley, whatever that kicker name is, from No Quarter Catch Crew. Right? Izzy Dame winning the match. A little bit ugly. It's a bit of an ugly match. But Izzy Dame won. Now, obviously, the Culling is going to try to regain some kind of gold here, right? Especially after Sean Spears lost last week. But hey, it's a good step in the right direction, right? So currently, we still have, I think, two more people to go for in this thing. We'll probably get them next week, right? On NXT, just before, a couple days before Stand and Deliver, right? See who will qualify. I think the early favorite right now for this Women's North American title, I think, is going to go to Sol Roca. I don't see anybody else really trying to win this one. I mean, I could do Zarya, my opinion. I don't think Izzy Dame's going to win it. I don't think they're ready for that yet. I don't see Kalani Jordan winning again. I mean, it's a possibility that her doing it and winning again in the exact same type of match. But I think right now, Sol Roca's my heads-on favorite to win this match. Right? She's got the height advantage. I know that means really nothing in a ladder match at times. But you can easily do Sol Roca versus Zarya after. Have Zarya turn heel and go after the North American title, feel like she got cheated out of it, even though her friend's clearly in the match. That's a sign. Like a stop sign is there, you just keep on going. Even though there's a stop sign there. So Zarya, I think will probably end up going after Sol Roca after this. I think Sol Roca is going to win this match as Stand Deliver. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do a predictions video on that yet too, but hey, that might come. Probably. You need something to do sometimes. So, in my opinion, Sol Roca is going to win this match, right? Who will possibly end up being in there too? I see either probably Fallon Henley getting into it, maybe someone else. Right? I don't think the rest of Fatal Influence will probably get in there. That's the name. Fatal Influence. I don't think uh, Jazzy or Jessica will get in there. I don't know what her name is, right? But Fallon Henley might. Obviously, she was a former North American champion. But the last two, I mean, it's hard to say who the last two might be. I think Fallon Henley will be one of them. As far as the last one goes, I mean, it could be anybody. It really could be anybody. So, I'll have to see what goes on next week. Moving on to the WWE's Hall of Fame stuff, because Hall of Fame is just around the corner here, and obviously we know Michelle McCool's going in. Obviously Triple H is going in. That's like been shown every bloody week since it was announced. Yeah, it's cool though, right? Lex Luger's going in. I still don't know if Lex Luger got the okay from Sting. I guess we'll find out probably around Hall of Fame night. But they announced today on WWE social media on the X account, Triple H did as well, I believe, that they are doing, like, obviously they also have the Bret Hart, Steve Austin WrestleMania moments thing, or WrestleMania matches, top WrestleMania match thing. Austin and Bret Hart are going in together. So Bret Hart's like a 3-time guy, by the way. Right? But they announced the Legacy one. People who should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, never really got voted in, or however they do it. It's like a legacy thing. It's almost like in the NFL, best way example, the NFL Hall of Fame, right? They have a contributors category, they have players categories, they also have legacy categories too. Whereas like they get in based on the fact that what they really did, but they never really got voted in. but they're kind of like, okay, he's like on the cusp, but can never really get in because somebody else was maybe better. One of those. So this year they announced they're putting in Dory Funk Sr., obviously the father of Dory Funk Jr., and Terry Funk. Uh, Also, they are putting in KAMILLE, the Ugandan giant. For those guys who don't know who KAMILLE, the Ugandan giant was, he was a very large, semi-scary dude. Right, he was built from Uganda. Right, wrestling bodies back then were different, so he's like tubbier. Right, he wore this large Ugandan type. I guess it was a Ugandan mask. I'm not too sure really if it was Ugandan or not. I never really looked into it. Right, him with a spear. His interpreter Kenchi, right, who also wore a mask. Right, Kamal painted his face like tribal kinds. Right, had a moon around his stomach there. Almost looked like he practiced voodoo half the time. Right, came out barefoot in a loincloth. Really fun character when I was growing up. I know that. Like to me, it was like that's really interesting. Wasn't exactly I wasn't really a fan favorite of him, but I remember Kamala, especially his matches versus I believe it was the Ultimate Warrior. His matches times with Hulk Hogan, I think he did have. So Undertaker's casket match is one that comes to mind. Okay, and also built from Moscow, Russia, at the fall of the Soviet Union. In the Soviet Union, he wasn't though. Canadian-born wrestler Ivan Koloff, right? Who is recommended as one of the first three people to ever hold the WWF. That's right, three W's there, fight Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the world title. He did beat Bruno Sammartino through his 7 2/3 year reign. So hey, good for him. Looking forward to seeing that. Obviously, the Hall of Fame is like a big night for a lot of people, especially who are fans of the history of wrestling, professional wrestling in general, or history of WWE. So it's interesting to see because a lot of these guys spent time in the WWE at some point in their lives, right? Or just were part of the NWA alliance, which you know it's good, exciting fun. It's good. It's a good night just to watch and hear stories from these guys. To be honest with you, it's not one of the greatest, most flashy things to do. A lot of people who aren't really hardcore or wrestling fans and all stuff who just kind of casually watch it won't really watch the Hall of Fame. But people who watch the wrestling on a regular basis, like myself, will probably watch it if we get the opportunity to. Especially seeing Triple H go in. I mean, I lived through his entire career, literally. So, moving on. So, ever wonder lately where Kamille is? You remember Kamille. She was the woman that came out and be the bodyguard to Mercedes Monet, who had a lot of upside to it. Now, we haven't seen Kamille in quite a while. Right? Last time we saw her, she was getting blamed by Mercedes Monet for a lot of crap that was really Mercedes Monet's fault. And there's been some things that came out today through Dave Meltzer as to how what's going on with Kamille. So it looks like AEW kind of made a boo boo here. Now it looks like they misjudged how much Kamille actually training she has had in wrestling. She came in. She was I think she was with the NWA for a while, the reignited NWA, the one that's run by Billy Corgan. Right? She came in, right, big hype to her. Her first match didn't go as yes they wanted it to, and they kind of lost faith with her after that because she was kind of billed by myself as well as other people to be the one that dethrones Mercedes Monet for the TBS title. That hasn't happened. That's pretty much gone to the wayside now. Apparently, she did get hurt, or maybe that was just an angle, but she's no longer there. Now, there is talk that she probably should have went to NXT first for a while and develop there. Now that could just happen if they decide to release Kamille and WWE maybe took a liking to her. She could possibly go to NXT. We'll keep you updated for the most part there what happens there. But right now she is still under AEW contract. Right, whether or not they decide to do with her, we'll keep informed on that. But right now she's doing nothing, and quite frankly, I think it's a waste. Let her go to NXT. I know they don't want to see that because WWE just signed a bunch of other guys too. They're not very happy about that. But hey, Camille is someone who could use the training, right? If she wants to continue to be wrestling, she has the size, she has the strength, she's very pretty. She can do it. All right, last thing we're gonna talk about today: Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Now, I haven't commented anything really much on this stuff lately because, quite frankly, I'm not excited for it. But there's a lot of stuff going on with Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton stuff. Last week on SmackDown, we kind of got a massive off-script shoot from both women, right? And it became very, very personal. Now, Charlotte, if you guys don't know, went onto a show earlier last week about and explained that she was getting divorced. She's not happy about it. She's very tearful about it. If you look at her ex account on her birthday, even Andrade, her ex-husband now, wished her happy birthday and all stuff. It's almost like it didn't know what happens. Like there's something. It's like something's wrong with her. It's not. It doesn't look like Andrade did anything wrong. It could just be her. I don't know. I don't know the situation hasn't come out. I really don't really care either. But for the sake of this, yes, it means something. And to be honest with you, Tiffany Stratton went off the rails a little bit, off script, and mentioned it, much to the lot of dismay of Charlotte Flair and other people. Now, whether or not it was agreed to do that at some point, I don't know. But it's been a bit of a train wreck between these two. It really has been. I know it's just one of those things where I don't agree. Okay, some personal stuff should be left personal. Like, if you're getting divorced, this is where we're going to stick at this, and you're Charlotte Flair, or we'll tell you what her real name is, Ashley Fleer, and you're getting divorced, and you know whether it's your fault or not, it didn't work out, and you're already beaten up enough as it is because you did something, whatever it is, to get divorced or whatever. It is probably imperative that you just don't talk about it out in public, keep it more private or amongst close personal friends. Not out in the WWE pop spotlight like it is. That almost seems like something that Vince McMahon would tell her to say. Okay? That's where I feel Stratton, where I would defend her and say that Stratton is in the wrong for that. On the other side, though, Charlotte Flair doing a squeaky voice was silly. Charlotte Flair insinuating that Ludwig Kaiser, Tiffany Stratton's real life boyfriend, is in her direct messages is also not something you should be doing. Seriously. Look, I understand you want to have real life storyline based times. At times I get that, and that's fine. But certain things should be off limits. Both of those should be off limits there. Whether if Kaiser's in her DMs, yes, it's a bad thing. But at the same time, dude, that's just more something that should be kept private. Right? That's basically trying to ruin someone's relationship for your own personal gain. It's not something you should be doing in the slightest. That goes for anybody. Doesn't matter if you're in the spotlight or not. Right? But Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair could very well be one of the best matches of the card. It's just the bill has been the crappiest. They both seem to be out of sync. Right? It's almost like they know it shouldn't be Charlotte. It's almost like Charlotte's going to win. Now, I haven't really picked to see who I'm going to win yet, but it almost seems like they're going to teeter towards that way. If logic says anything right about wrestling, we'll see on the last SmackDown before WrestleMania. if Charlotte ends up walking out, getting laid out by Tiffany Stratton, chances are Charlotte's winning that title. And I don't agree with that. Because Charlotte, in my opinion, even though I do like Charlotte, I don't think she needs the title. There's times even back when Triple H was the world champion that I like Triple H. I didn't need him to be the champion. Sometimes you just don't need the title. You just don't. At some point, you should just probably be there to probably build people up more. Like Tiffany Stratton beating Charlotte Flair is a massive win, and it will mean more for Tiffany Stratton than it would for Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair winning another title under her belt doesn't do anything good for Charlotte. It just ruins Tiffany in some opinions. Tiffany Stratton beating Charlotte is a better option. Why? Because then you can easily build Tiffany Stratton up saying, look, she beat Nia Jax. Whether she had the Money in the Bank contract at that point is irrelevant. She still beat Nia Jax. Right? Then she beat Charlotte Flair. Arguably one of the four horsewomen of the WWE, one of the best wrestlers of the past 10 years. One of the most gifted athletes in wrestling. Tiffany Stratton deserves that more over Charlotte at this point there. So, but it might also too, like I said, in personal opinion wise, I don't think some of that stuff should have been mentioned. They should learn to if they're not getting along, then at some point there's something going on that needs to be addressed. But don't be airing out dirty laundry on live TV. I've never liked that stuff. I thought to me, it's ignorant. People have their own private stuff they don't need to do. If you choose to air it out in public, like Charlotte did on a show, fine. But don't bring it into the WWE like that either. I know it's kind of contradicting, but still. That's all I got to say on that. That is my 3-minute rant on that. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much the news there for today. We thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to follow us here on DA Wrestling on all our accounts there at D Lives. That's Doug's thing whenever he's on here. AMP 1982, right, on Twitter, as well as DA Wrestling or DA Sports Pod. That is our X account, right? Or DA Sports on TikTok. We post pictures of our new stuff, all of our new video, our new thumbnails, pictures though. Guys, go take a look at that stuff. That's from promoting there. Also follow us there on Spotify as well as Podbean. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Thank you very much for the support. We appreciate it all. Talk to you guys later soon. Have a good one.